It is Monday, March the 25th, 2024. I am James. You are you. We are here for a monumental episode in at-home history. If memory serves correct, we are here for episode 478. Now, not a number most people would celebrate. Tonight we're going to, because after a month-long single elimination tournament, tonight we crown what we believe to be the greatest nerd subset in the history of mankind. 16 subsets entered, only 4 remain. Tonight, we whittle it down to the sole survivor. If you've got chills, if you've got tingles, if you've got goosebumps, perhaps some of you even have hard-ons. That's how exciting tonight is. But it's exciting for a variety of reasons. I want to get into one of those reasons right here, right now. First and foremost, I want to welcome co-host, co-pilot, side piece, Mr. Dave Kaufman. Dave, we made it an entire month. This is a big one.
This is a big one. We've done the whole month. We've ridden the line.
Yeah.
And, I was a little nervous going into this, James.
Well, I know that you were.
Yeah, that we were going to be mean to some of these subsets of nerds.
Well, there's still an hour left to be mean.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we stick the landing and that we're respectful to these people who are merely passionate about some sort of subject.
How have I done riding the line in the month of March thus far?
Oh, you've been okay. You've been
right.
kind of mean at times. Right now, you're kind of blurry for some reason, but that's okay.
I'm blurry?
Better now. It's better now.
Okay, well, that's very reassuring to hear.
Yeah, you've been okay. There's been times when I thought, ooh, that's a little bit mean. And
I went over the line instead of riding it.
Yeah, but then other times, where you've been a little bit nicer. So then it averages out to being on top of the line.
It's a big night, and I mentioned for a variety of reasons. Dave, we're celebrating an anniversary tonight.
Really?
Last week, we celebrated 4 years of the At Home show.
Wow.
Tonight, moments before getting on the air, I realized tonight is the 1-year anniversary since At Home live and in person. It was a year ago tonight where we had the Mr. At Home pageant. So a year ago, we crowned Mr. At Home. 1 year later, we crown the greatest nerd subset.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say it's the 1 week anniversary of the 4-year anniversary.
Well, it is also that. In addition to the semifinals and finals of the Nerd March Madness, we're celebrating a year of At Home live and in person. We're also celebrating 1 week since the 4-year anniversary. Thanks for reminding me, Dave.
No problem. I have that on my calendar.
Now, are you excited for tonight?
I'm excited. I don't have a hard-on yet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if that happens. It's really hard to get.
So wait. What? You want to clarify? You don't have a hard-on.
I'm a difficult guy to get, aroused.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. We had a first-time chat from what appears to be a first-time viewer. Unreal username. Brodog1991 says, quote, Tingle Gang here. Are you a member? A card-carrying member of the Tingle Gang, at least?
Not yet, but Brodog is very close to Bodog, which is a famous gambling website.
This is true.
So that almost got me some tingles, but I'm not there yet.
Okay, well, we've got the final four. Who are the odds in favor of tonight?
Well, why don't I pull up the bracket?
Yeah, who's the underdog? Yeah, why don't we pull up the bracket now, because once our panel gets here, we're going to get right into it. So tonight, the semifinals and the finals, we begin in just a few moments with LARPers, live-action role players, taking on Bronies, followed by Disney Adults taking on Weebs. Who's the odds-on favorite? Who's the underdog?
So I think the favorites is probably 2-1 going into the finals for Bronies to make it to the finals, and probably 2-1 for Disney Adults to make it.
Now, when you say 2-1,
I mean you would bet you would bet 2 and you would get 1.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say my money's on Bronies taking the whole thing, despite it maybe not being the what I would bet on. I think they're a favorite.
Now, who's the overall underdog tonight?
The overall underdog, I gotta say, I feel like it's LARPers.
Okay, why is that?
Well, just because they're going up against. It's not that they're not a powerful subset of nerds. It's just that they're going up against such stiff competition.
Okay, well, let's get right into it. We're going to welcome two of the people that at different points in time over the month of March have demanded to be here. We have acquiesced to those demands, and it only feels fitting that we wrap things up with people that have been here along the way with us from the beginning. Let's welcome both Marlaena Moore and Cathy Fagan to the program. Marlaena, Cathy, thanks for being here. Marlaena, you've been representing perhaps a more diplomatic viewpoint over the past month. Cathy, you've been on what I call the bully side of things, and I'm so glad to have you back tonight. Last week was far too much in favor of celebrating these subsets than they were punishing them.
Yeah, I'm disappointed to hear that.
Well, I'm glad to know that there's let's say a fellow bully here tonight. Marlaena, let's go to you.
I'm happy to be back. I am really interested to see how this all shakes out. It's been a wild ride. Can't believe end of March, already here.
Yeah, this is one way to really make the months go by fast, is by putting on a weekly event that forces us to, count down the days for Monday, which is traditionally an unenjoyable day. Cathy, I want to start with you. You told us off air you put together a list of notes going into tonight.
I have a list of notes. I did some research. I wanted a well-rounded view of everything that we were going to talk about.
How long did it take you to put these notes together?
I spent about an hour.
An hour. Wow, this is incredible.
Now, if I may.
Yep.
That's pretty nerdy.
It might be a little nerdy.
Research?
I think it depends on the subject and how much research you're doing. If we had said Cathy's been doing research for a full week, an hour of show prep, I don't know. I do an hour of show prep.
Is caring nerdy?
I think that's kind of what I think, and that's why I kind of identify as a nerd. I think that people who care are nerdy.
Dave, are you seeing this right now?
Cat fight.
The funny thing is, I was going to say it, and I thought, I wonder if I tee Dave up. Maybe he'll say it instead. Cathy, coming in from the chat, quote, nerd alert. So at least one person agrees with Marlaena Moore.
I agree, too. I've had some suspicions that Cathy's a secret nerd.
It's me? Oh. All right.
Yeah, how do you respond to those suspicions from Dave? Now you've got double accusations here, Cathy.
Maybe I'm just ahead of my time. Maybe I like the right things.
Interesting. Well, you are also, I don't know if it's possible, since you are the expert of what is cool on the show as well.
Yeah, exactly. I get to dictate what's cool, and then I just have to be patient until it becomes widespread cool in the future.
Yeah, Marlaena, how do you respond to that?
I
You're trying to stir shit up. I can feel it.
I really respect Cathy's point of view.
Get ready for it, James.
I think that Cathy is I just think she's fantastic, and it's a pleasure to get to know her across these weeks. And but calling yourself an expert and cool is one of the fucking nerdiest things that you could be called.
Meow.
Coming in from the chat, a legendary viewer, Farm Boy, writes, quote, should I get some popcorn? I think the answer is yes, because...
But also, if I may, to be the diplomatic one, I generally will always call people out because I recognize something in myself, Okay. I have way too much MASH paraphernalia that one millennial woman should have. I, yesterday jumped in super last minute to help with a student sketch show and put a shit ton of work into that, and I cared a lot, and then also oh god, I do think just from my like caring deeply about something is inherently nerdy, but then that isn't that what also makes it cool in the end as well.
I don't know if I disagree. I don't think caring about stuff makes you nerdy.
Sometimes not.
Well, it all depends. It all depends, and it depends on 4 topics that we're talking about tonight.
All right.
Because that's what this has really all been about: is the deep caring of something until it gets to the point that it makes other people cringe. Let's begin with semifinal number 1.
Let's
These
begin.
are the finalists from the left side of the bracket. LARPers, live action role players, taking on Bronies. Live action role players, they get dressed up, they have styrofoam weapons, they go into the woods. Unless you're talking to Mark, maybe he'll have a different opinion of what it is they do, and they pretend to battle each other. Let's begin. LARPers versus Bronies. Dave, we're going to begin with you.
Do you want me to comment on LARPers first?
We're going with LARPers.
I'm going to say, last week we touched on this, but LARPers, you're getting exercise. You're fighting. Fighting inherently removes you a little bit from being nerdy, because
But it's not real fighting.
That's true. I suppose it's sort of a simulated fighting.
If that's fighting, then little kids in the park with water guns is fighting. If anything, I would say that's more like fighting.
They're shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Fighting. Well, they're like fencing. Like fencing is like LARPing.
Yeah, with pool noodles painted to look like swords.
They're not necessarily pool noodles, are they?
Yeah, it's the same material.
Yeah, thank you, Cathy.
Interesting. Your research has told you that it's the same material. So that would be my argument, that they're not that nerdy, but clearly it's not convincing. They're getting exercise. They're outside. They're touching grass, so to speak. A lot of nerds, they don't touch grass. They stay inside behind a screen, and they yell at each other on Twitter. Yeah. Or X, rather. Mm-hmm. So I think that is, sure, they're in costumes, and sure, there's rules that they abide by insofar as how magic affects the battlefield. But I think that they're nerdy, but they're not the level of nerdy of the other subsets.
All right. Cathy, let's go to you. LARPers, what do your notes tell us tonight?
I have a question I want to float out there. I don't know if this was discussed last week, but do you guys think it's a sport?
No.
Because I feel like the answer to that question kind of dictates where it falls on the cool scale.
It's actually in the Olympics this year.
Okay, so the thing that I don't like about LARPing is the fantastical bits, like the fireball throwing at your middle-aged friends. Like that is like I have trouble with that.
Yeah, fireball. I watched a clip earlier where someone just kept shouting fireball.
They were shouting lightning bolt, James.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, nerd.
See, and you didn't care too much that it was lightning bolts. You can be cool about it or whatever. Continue, Cathy.
Yeah,
Continue, Cathy.
And then you get hit with a fireball, and then you're probably having like a moment, like an intimate moment with your pals where you're like, oh, I'm sorry to leave you behind. And then they're like, no, don't die. Like, I can't get on board with that. However, I will say what I do think is cool about LARPing is that I don't think the other ones have, is that there's a hierarchical structure, like a social structure within them, where you can.
So you think a hierarchical structure is cool?
Like
an office job.
No, sorry. I should be more specific. Like a social structure. Like there's cool people within the LARPing world, and like you kind of have to finesse your way to the top.
But I would argue that there's cool people in all of these worlds.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to be committed and cool to get to the top of a LARPing social structure, I think.
Okay, I want to quickly jump to the chat for a second. Real Andrew Mackay writes, quote, LARPing isn't predetermined. Some people take the combat aspect very seriously, and some of them are surprisingly well-trained at combat and archery.
Boom.
But
there you go.
Then you get guys throwing fireballs. Cathy with the facts.
Yeah, and also there's a version of LARPing where you use airsoft guns.
That's interesting.
What are you LARPing as?
Steel guns.
There's tons of LARPing. It's not just medieval. There's like dystopian. There's like all kinds. So
interesting.
Yeah. So
Marlaena, I want to go to you because I feel, if memory serves correct, you've been pretty anti-LARPing this entire month.
I mean, you know, from the get-go, when I first saw the the competitors for this whole month, LARPers was my number one, making it straight to the top.
Yeah. Okay.
And we could call it research, or for me, it was a brief YouTube search, so I could see it with my eyes. And I did see a YouTube short that was a day in the life of a LARPing trip that a bunch of friends took to, like, it was like a weekend retreat or some shit, and they, it was just one of the craziest things I've ever seen, where it was like, wow, so these nerds clearly have a shit ton of money, and they're able to, like, spend their vacation time on this, like, insane getaway where it's like, it's all very realistic. There's, like, the sets, or you can call them, or, like, the tavern, what have you, and then they're going off to battle, and there's, like, a shit ton of people. And I do agree, like, I also saw clips where it was like, okay, wow, this like, ripped dude is into LARPing and is really good at, like, fencing and, like, archery and shit. But again, it's like that's so nerdy. Like, I like, in my mind, I don't associate nerds with, like, the like the 80s version. It's like, yeah, it's caring so much that what got you to get into shape was so you could be so good at archery that you are able to defeat orcs out on the field in battle. And then what you're saying in terms of, like, social structures and hierarchies, that exists in every single social scene. And even though it's like, like, when I was a teenager, I was crazy into Lindy hopping, like, so into it, and there was absolutely social structures there. I think we know from improv, there's absolutely social hierarchies within the improv scene. No matter what it was, I think that goes all across all scenes.
But this one has the social structures, and I think the others don't.
Can you elaborate on this?
Dave, you seen this right now?
Yeah, I think that exclusivity is cool. So there's exclusivity within LARPing, and I don't think that exists.
But Cathy, I need you to be more specific, though, because you're saying that
Continue.
that there's, like, social strike. It's embedded into it. It's, like, part of the structure of how the game is played, or is it just like are there some examples, some quotes? What's the data?
Quotes, yeah. Let me quote my favorite LARPer of all time. No, I mean, like, I just read from my research that within these, yeah, this makes me sound so fucking nerdy. So within this research, this guy was saying that if you're within a LARPing community, like, it's unfair because the coolest people get to rise to the top of the
No, wait, hold on, Cathy. You are in favor of exclusivity.
I didn't say I'm in favor of it. I'm saying that it's certainly cool.
Exclusivity is cool. Okay. I want to put a button on LARPing because we have to go to its counterpart, Bronies. Marlaena, let's start with you this time around. Bronies.
Well, here's the thing. I think that Bronies falls under the umbrella of, like, LARPing, like, cosplay, all that shit. Because from my understanding, it's like you create a pony name, you make a costume, you are, like, obsessed with this one specific, like, show, and you're putting all your cards into that or whatever. Now, the thing, I'll be honest, Bronies is something that I know probably the least about out of all of these things. And the more I tried to gain understanding, the more confusing it became to me. And so I'm bewildered by it. I don't want it to win because I barely think that it's real, and I don't like it.
Well, I will say it is real. In doing some of my own research, I found numerous news reports on Bronies. And I also found a news report in which Fox News makes fun of Bronies. Dave, let's go to you for Bronies.
So these are grown people.
Yeah, grown men.
Men who are fans of My Little Pony.
Yeah.
To such a degree, which is notoriously a show for small, young children.
And little girls.
Little girls. And they like it so much that they choose their own pony name and they dress up like ponies. That's what I'm talking about?
You said it and I started laughing. They choose their own pony names. Here's the deal. If I walked up to all of you guys over the course of the next couple months, I was like, hey, I want you to know I'm actually a brony. And my pony name is Lilac.
Aww.
But if I said, oh yeah, I started LARPing, I play a wizard, which would sicken you more?
I think if you told everyone you were a brony, everyone would be like, "Oh, that's what it is." The thing that you've been keeping secret for so long.
Yeah, it all is making sense now.
Yeah, he's Lilac.
Oh, finally, the mystery.
Cathy,
really, I want to know. So I was thinking about the way that we're choosing the winners here. And do you guys feel like you're choosing the...
I just want to cut you off and say that they're all winners here.
Yeah, okay. So are you choosing it based on the amount of contempt you feel? Or
I think that for the most part, I have been, but there's been moments where I have been swayed.
Yeah.
What are you basing it on, Cathy?
I realize that I think I'm basing it on contempt.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I have been.
I'm not.
What are you basing it on?
I'm basing it on a couple of things. Passion and levels of gatekeeping and sort of the acceptance of the group in a larger society.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Well, Cathy, let's go back to you in terms of discussing bronies.
All right. So I watched some of a brony documentary, and I watched an episode of My Little Pony in the back while I was taking my notes. And honestly, one thing I realized are that bronies are oftentimes strangely self-aware. It's almost always starting with like, oh, I started watching this episode. I didn't think I'd be into it. And then I was like, oh God, I kind of think this is fun. Like, what's wrong with me? So I think that immediately kind of gains them some points. They're like kind of normal guys sometimes who do that. It's to me, I kind of like shifted my view as in like, it's a kind of a hipster version of Disney Adults. That's kind of how I view it now. But I will say I did see a Facebook event for BronyCon in the Bay Area where a male adult did refer to it as a high society event.
Now, Cathy, I have a question for you since you've done research. Yeah. Do you feel like some subset of this subset are doing it because as like sort of like ironic FU to the outer world? Like, oh, this is so stupid. It's going to piss off people.
Really?
I think deep down, it's almost like, oh, this is fun. It's nice. It's like, I'm a dude. It's funny that I'm into this. And like, they're kind of into it. Maybe it starts out ironic, but it slowly like turns into like, oh, this is kind of nice, lighthearted. I'm like meeting other guys that are kind of like, find this fun. Now
I have another question. When you might have only seen the My Little Pony episode in the background, but if you caught any of it, did you feel like it was a cartoon where like there's like subtext for adults and like it's meant for kids, but they have like that extra layer for like the parents watching along,
like a Disney Pixar?
Yeah, like Go ahead, Marlaena.
I have my partner's sister has said like, you know, it's actually pretty funny, and I mean it's so I think in terms of like stuff you can and actually Annabelle Agnew said that, I believe, too. So I think there is something.
But you're saying you know some bronies.
I know some women who have children, and it would be appropriate for them to be watching it in the.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Very diplomatic. It's very diplomatic. Well, there's been some very interesting points of view But now it's time to decide who's going to the finals. Is it live action role players or is it bronies? Marlaena, let's start with you because I think I know what your answer is. So we're going to start in almost it's a de facto at this point. You are voting for?
LARPers.
LARPers. Dave, let's go to you. LARPers or bronies?
You know, coming into this conversation, I was going to go with bronies. Mm-hmm. And then we had the conversation, and it's a bit... I'm sincerely closer in my evaluation after Cathy's explanations. But I still think that because of the sort of societal stigma of it, I think that it takes a nerdier dedication to be a brony. And therefore, I'm going to go with bronies.
Why nerdier dedication?
Because you really can't care what people think. Because it looks bad. Like, let's put the cards on the table. Doesn't look great. It doesn't look great to be a brony. It's a show for little girls, and these are older men dressing up as the characters. On so many levels, it seems wrong. However, I can see a world in which it's like a funny FU and like people get together and be like,
but even that's kind of sad that they're giving an FU using little girl content.
I guess. But I'm voting bronies anyway. You don't got to convince me any further.
The LARPers get exercise.
Yeah,
they do go out and they are active.
Yeah, they are active.
All right.
You active bronies.
What are they?
Yeah,
doing horse racing?
Active in their wrist motion and hand going up and down while watching the cartoon. I'm voting bronies. Cathy, you're either going to tie the vote, forcing us to go to the chat, or you're sending bronies to the finals.
You're with us or against us?
Or is it bronies?
I am on Team LARP.
Oh my god!
Yeah, sister.
Cathy, why are you on Team LARP?
See, me and Cathy are united against you, you bronies.
We'll get you yet.
Cathy, what has swayed you?
Look, I can see the good and the bad of both. I think LARPing because, honestly, it's like if I think if somebody approached me and said, I do LARPing versus bronies, I almost feel more empathy for the brony person than I do for the LARPer now.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Why? Yeah. What now? But why is that?
Because I think that the brony piece can be cool, and I don't see a single situation where being a LARPer feels cool.
But how can the brony part be cool? Think about what you just said.
So what? From the very beginning, James, you brought up the the lack of self-awareness. Who would be less self-aware, and I think to Cathy's point,
in fairness, I never said that. I never said that.
Who said it?
I think I said it.
As the great Shaggy once said, it wasn't me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I wasn't bothered by it. Right now, in the chat, we've got one for brony, one for LARPers, so we're still currently talking.
I think what I was going to say though is I think that in terms of who would be more self-aware, I think bronies would be more self-aware, where I think that people who LARP are in no way self-aware and fully
what makes you say that?
Because it was kind of again, I can't remember who said what or when, I guess, but someone said how it's yeah, I do I like My Little Pony. I know it's kind of crazy, this little girl show. It's it's weird. I'm like a man or whatever. But I found my community, and that's just how it is. It's very similar to the vacuum cleaner guys that I sent you.
Yeah.
Where.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I feel like if there were if we had a slideshow on the show right now and it was the faces of bronies, you guys would choose LARPers instead.
I will remember remember you.
I don't know if that's entirely true now.
What's going on with their faces? Their chiseled faces.
Want to encourage anyone watching right now to please vote. We're at a total deadlock here. And frankly, I'm not sure what to do if we are locked in a tie. Do they cancel each other out? Do they both go to the finals? And is it some type of triangle match to determine?
Maybe they both go to the finals. It's a three-way finals.
Ooh, three-way finals.
Three-way finals.
Well, here's the question: What do we do if maybe we'll have to vote on what we do if we're locked in a tie here?
What if we get locked in a tie? Voting what to do if we're locked in a tie?
Yeah, what do we do? We're currently locked in a tie. It's 2-2 in the chat. It's 1-1, and basically what the result, the true result coming out of this is not enough people watch this show to help us.
Well, I mean, James, in the end, this is your show. Like, do you have some sort of like ultimate like intervening power, or you get to make
I mean, I'd send Bronies to the finals, but then I think to me that's it kind of disrupts democracy. Cathy, what do you think?
We'll call a friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there's no need to. I do not see anyone else chiming in right now. The real Andrew Mackay, for all intents and purposes, has sent LARPers to the finals.
Andrew is a true women ally. Thank you, Andrew. You are a mighty warrior.
And Brony ally. Woo.
I would say that this to me is perhaps the upset of the tournament.
I put them as the underdog.
Bronies?
No, LARPers was the underdog.
Wow. LARPers is the underdog, and LARPers has been sent to the finals. I feel a little rattled. I'm not going to lie. I feel a little rattled.
Woo!
It's like when the Habs lose in the playoffs.
No, this is not even as close to as bad as that. Yeah. It's not even close. Coming in from the chat, the real Andrew Mackay writes, I have a cousin who's a LARPer and two friends who are bronies. My cousin is way nerdier. Okay. So he has got source material. But I think, if anything, he's got two brony friends and one LARPer. If that says anything, there's more bronies than there are LARPers. But exactly. As the great Chad Kroger once said, it's too bad, it's too bad, it's too late.
For a second there, I thought his cousin was a beer.
Why is that?
Because it says it almost says lager.
Oh. Or a larger.
Yeah, it was a larger.
We can see where your mind goes to when you read that word.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave. Let's move on to the wow. I can't believe what
I'm going to pull up the nerd bracket again so we can all take a moment and think about what just happened.
Yep.
I'm relishing.
As am I.
Well, we can't see it, but Bronies has moved on, or rather LARPers. That's how invested I was in Bronies winning this. LARPers has moved on to the finals, despite the fact that they get a lot of exercise. Let's move on to the second semifinal. It is Disney Adults versus Weebs. I think this one is going to be very interesting. Cathy, I want to start with you, Disney Adults.
Disney Adults is ultimately my number one for the full win. I think that they are in a state of permanent adolescence. I think that...
But how can we say that and we just eliminated Bronies? Like, we got another legend watching right now, the real Sid Rock, the sheriff of the chat. This guy has not been in the chat in like 2 years. He's chiming in. Bronies got robbed. Like, I can't believe what just happened. Cathy, let's continue.
Okay, no. Let me hear me out. I think that there's probably very few Bronies that are having My Little Pony themed weddings, or like.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're not having weddings. They're not having weddings because they don't have sex and they don't date anyone. At least Disney Adults get married.
They're not. As far as I know, they're not decking their house out with like all of the My Little Pony paraphernalia. I think that Disney Adults are more intense than Bronies, and I think that they like just have this more intense need to belong and to like stay in this like mindset of being a child. That's what I think.
Dave, let's go to you.
Sorry, I'm still a little bit shook.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Disney adults. I mean, I think here's the thing about Disney adults. It's almost like not nerdy. It's almost like entitled and bratty. I find like there's a certain there's like a certain like I spoke about this last time, but I want to be a princess. I want to be a prince. Like that kind of fantasy. To me, that's not even nerdy. That's just like if you're an adult who wants to be a princess, like shame on you.
And I think to your point, Dave, I think it was either you or Cathy who brought up the self-awareness. They walk around with it, and I think Disney adults, if you look at it on a large scale, they tend to be more attractive as well. And to me, that counts.
That counts as what?
Not as nerdy.
Okay.
No, you're saying
no, James. You're so wrong about this. You're so wrong. Appearance has nothing to do with it.
It does in my criteria.
So why? How come? I guess I was just being hypocritical. But why didn't the faces of the brony men get you then?
Well, no.
Yeah, these are some hot faces.
I think that the overall grouping of most of these are fairly unattractive people.
I think you're wrong.
That might be pretty far.
Well, like let's look at Henry Cavill. He's a nerd, but he's a very handsome nerd. He's chiseled. He plays.
What nerd does he affiliate to?
He's super into I guess fantasy. He's big into like fantasy novels, and
I never said that they're all unattractive. I said that I think a lot of Disney adults you see a lot of couples going as Disney adults, and they're like, "Oh, isn't this so crazy? We're doing this." I bet you they're having wild sex.
I think that if you're
I think that a lot of the biggest nerds are having the wildest sex. I
don't think so.
No, I disagree with that.
Me neither. I don't think they are.
No, they are.
I don't think they are.
I think they are.
Yeah, the bronies are having sex with their stuffed toys.
Which is pretty crazy.
We got to figure out how to who's right.
And also, Disney adults are waiting till marriage.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. You're saying there's a religious undertone?
I think that there's an innocence undertone.
That's interesting. Marlaena, let's go to you, Disney adults.
I mean, in terms of self-awareness, I think you're onto something where it's like it's skewed in their own minds, you know, where it's like they're thinking that they're coming across, you know, all quirky and like sweet, and it's just like oh, gag me, disgusting, like just and again, like I said before, they ruin it for me.
I think that's every nerd who the hyper nerd ruins everything that they like for everyone.
No, exactly. And, you know, as someone who is a cinephile, you can say, but don't worry, cinephiles are still super cool.
Your affiliation was eliminated in week 1.
Yeah. Is that some of those Disney films are remarkable, like, objects of like creativity, and like, you know, the film business and the history is so fascinating and so rich, and also like incredible like songwriting, like it's like the craft of these films is so like incredible, and then as soon as there's a fucking like lady with highlights getting married on a plantation with fucking like Beauty and the Beast theme shit. I mean, this is the other thing too, is that there's also what you're saying. Maybe I'm just getting a little too crazy over here, but there's also like there's something very conservative about it, where it feels very like upholding, like, you know, the certain.
It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Coming in from the chat from Farm Boy, this person writes, quote, cinephile, nerd. So
yeah, I'm not
Dave, not the only person who gets roasted here. Let's move on to Weebs. Cathy, let's go to you. Weebs.
So my initial understanding of a weeb was way off when we had the first show that I took part in. I thought that it was just people who like anime. But I've come to learn that weeb is a non-Japanese person who is obsessed with Japanese culture.
Yes.
Yes.
It definitely makes me uncomfortable. I feel like it's fetishizing Japanese people in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like since I've learned that they like to push weebdom on a lot of other people very intensely, that to me doesn't feel very self-aware.
They're weeb pushers.
Yeah, they're weeb pushers. They're
Poke weeb every day.
Yeah, weebs for me are not, I just don't understand it now that I've learned what it is.
All right. Dave, Weebs.
I mean, look, I think Japanese culture is interesting, unlike Cathy. I think, yeah, you know, I could see being fascinated with it. It's has a large history. I think that, but when you get too obsessed and you start, you know, saying konnichiwa to a bunch of Japanese people out of the blue because you want to involve yourself with them, it can be a little bit cringe or whatever.
Yeah, while wearing a Pokemon t-shirt.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you know, you got to catch them all, but I don't know. I definitely think that on the extremes, like these are very nerdy. These are very nerdy people, and I've watched a few videos. I couldn't find a good one to play on the show, but I watched a few videos, and they were nerds. They were pretty bad. They were pretty bad nerds.
All right, Marlaena, let's go to you. Weebs.
Yeah, a lot of the weebs at my hippie school were also the bullies. And we're and, you know, talk about the social hierarchy. They definitely fell pretty high on the hierarchy. And I mean, my issue with weebs goes past them. It's kind of what you were saying, Cathy. Is like I don't really care about them like being nerdy. It's the obsession to where it goes into like appropriation and just like where it's just like it's very misguided, and so I'm very conflicted in my vote because I don't want to see that I don't want to see weebs on the leaderboard anymore because I don't care for it. But at the same time, it's like maybe that's counterintuitive, and because I'm like, oh, that's clearly like the worst of the worst in that category, like really turns my stomach. But
I think you could conceivably subtract any appropriation, and there's still some of the worst. You ever seen them all get off the metro to go to a convention at Palais de Congrès?
No.
It's horrific.
It's not that bad.
I was wondering when someone's come in defense of weebs.
Let's go to the vote here. Disney adults versus weebs. Cathy, let's start with you.
Still choosing Disney adults.
All right. My vote goes to weebs. Dave, let's go to you.
It's tough. It's another tough one. You really put me.
It was only going to get harder.
You know, on the one hand, you got these adult princesses, and on the other hand, you got these fake Japanese people. It's like, how do you choose?
What is the world coming to?
I'm gonna go with Disney adults.
Wow. Okay. All right. Marlaena, you're either going to send the Disney adults to the finals, or you're going to cause another tie. Are you voting for Weebs or Disney adults?
Disney adults.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. We've eliminated fake Japanese people.
Listen,
and James, grown men who obsess about a girl cartoon.
Listen, James,
I can't believe it.
If I may, sweetheart, if this was 2012, then maybe it'd be a whole other conversation. But sweetheart, it is 2024, and these are the conversations that we're having now.
Yeah, sweetheart.
David, let's coming into the chat, Weebs for the nerdiest. Fortunately, Brodog 1991, your vote as well as mine no longer matters. Dave, what was the deciding factor for you?
I was running out of time. I was trying to stretch out my.
Wait, you know what? There was no timer.
I know. I felt a lot of pressure, and I had to pick one of them. So I picked Disney adults.
Yeah, I'm saying what was the deciding... So you're saying the deciding factor is you felt pressure, so you didn't base it on anything but that?
I sort of just panicked, James. And
Okay, had you not panicked, and it's too late now...
You know, I'm starting to think Weebs should have won.
Cathy, what was the deciding factor?
There's something about Weebs, even though there's something that's like a little bit darker and a little bit grittier. Yeah. And Disney Adult is like so naive.
Yeah.
James, I've updated the subset brackets.
Okay, let's take a gander here. Dave's done some I guess some photoshopping. Yeah. Disney Adults really squeezed in there. Yeah, I'm really rocked by all of this, I have to say.
This isn't the way that we thought it would go, but you know, that's what's so fun about live competition. Yeah.
I thought that at least Bronies or Weebs would make it to the finals, and I really think looking at the finals now, you look at it and go, well, there's certainly nerdier than this.
I guess we have to redo the whole competition.
Coming in from the chat, Brodog 1991, I'm as shocked as James is. Now, the tough thing about this for me now is like, well, I don't think that either of these, with my criteria, deserve to be in the finals, so I just have to pick the best of the rest. So let's begin. It's live action role players.
Let's begin.
Yeah, live action role players versus Disney adults for the nerdiest subset. Keeping in mind, grown men who enjoy My Little Ponies eliminated. Dave, let's start with you.
All right, I'm going to start.
I want to switch things up because obviously we literally just talked about these within the past 50 minutes or so. So I want for us to dig right in. Why does one seem nerdier than other to you?
So
you can also argue the other way as well.
So my first impressions after seeing that this is the pairing that's in the finals,
yeah, exactly,
is that Disney adults has to be a little bit nerdier, and I'm going back to that classic argument that LARPers do some kind of physical activity, whereas Disney adults do not do anything.
In those park.
No, they don't. You're probably waiting in line for a long time. You're probably posing in front of the Magic Kingdom. You're probably waiting in line for Space Mountain. You're probably, getting.
No, they're not going to Space Mountain. They want pictures with the fake Frozen woman
probably hanging out with Gaston.
Yeah, they're going to the tank where there's the Littlest Mermaid or whatever it's called.
Littlest Mermaid. Yeah,
I didn't watch that crap when I was a kid.
They're on a magic carpet ride somewhere. Singing
so
a whole new world.
You're sticking right now. A big sticking point for you is
I'm sticking it where the sun don't shine, and that's the Disney World park.
Cathy, what's your immediate reaction? We got LARPers and Disney adults.
I'm not voting formally.
Not voting. You're just like, this is just like, what do you think? What are you thinking here?
I've got some phlegm in my throat.
Yeah, clearly. I'm not voting now.
My heart, like my first intuition felt like LARPers was dirtier, but my brain is saying the opposite.
Why?
I mean, I hate that I'm swayed by the physical activity argument because I think it's so stupid.
Oh, Cathy, for fuck's sake. Listen to me now. So there's a lot of really fucking cool people who are some of the unhealthiest people I've ever met in my entire life. You know, they don't exercise. Have you seen those nerds at the fucking Econo Fitness, like writing down their little things, and they have their little big juice cup filled with protein shake? Like, exercise is fucking nerdy, man.
No.
If I think about it, like I think about like LARPers after having like a really tough session where like they're like really striving to take over
session of
really intense session of LARPing. And like you imagine losing like a LARPing round and you're back there with all your like 50-year-old male friends and you like are taking off your gear and you're like your hairy body is just like stuck to your chest and you're sweating and crying because you didn't take over you didn't
what is it
properly or whatever. Like
I want to jump in with this. It sounds like, and I'm still very torn. I feel like LARPers can leave the LARPing on the field where Disney adults come back. They live with it. They live with it.
Fantastic. I love that. That gets to the heart of what
the LARPers, they come home. If they're at home alone, you can't LARP. If you're a Disney adult, you probably got like a big Beauty and the Beast decal on your wall, and you're like, I'm gonna put on a VHS of Mulan or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, you probably have Disney Plus, James.
I don't.
No, I'm saying
Marlaena, let's go to you. Immediate. Yeah.
I'm fucking furious right now. I'm so mad at everyone in this chat because the thing with like LARPing hangs over this entire competition throughout the entire, like there is sci-fi LARPing, there is fantasy LARPing, there like with cosplay, with the costumes, like the amount.
What do you mean costume play?
Jeez. Anyways,
Jafar over here.
Coming in from the chat, Farm Boy writes, quote, you can take the LARP out of a LARPer, but you can't take the Disney out of a Disney adult.
Hell yeah, because their identity is tied to being a Disney adult.
Yeah, I'm really torn on this one. I'm really torn because I think that if you look at the people LARPing, and you know what was interesting? I talked about attractiveness, and they were up in arms that Cathy was talking about 50-year-old out-of-shape men on the LARPing field with their hairy chest and bodies. This is it's really hard because I think we left some real juggernauts on the board. Dave, what are you thinking right now?
You know, I'm thinking, sure, we might have left some juggernauts on the board, but you know, we can't be living in the past now, James. We got to be looking forward at the groups that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My sense is that you know, there's probably way more, if you break down the demographics, and I know this isn't what the competition's about, but if you break down the demographics, there's way more Disney fans that are just casual fans, and the subset of people who LARP probably are more condensed to the nerdier side of things.
Exactly.
But on the other hand,
I'm gonna tell you, I've been saying it since week one. Every one of these features casuals.
I know.
We're not talking the casuals. We're talking the sick.
What is a casual LARPer, James? What does that even look like?
I think someone that's like, oh, you know what? I go and play make believe on the weekend, but I don't obsess about it. I do it casually every once in a blue moon. And then there's the ones that probably do it over the course of an entire weekend, who go to cottages to do it, who probably invest thousands of dollars in good-looking material outside of like pool noodles.
But I bet
if you're going to be a Disney adult, you have to go all in.
I bet that Disney adults, you know, they spend more money. Disney is a money milking machine, and they extract top dollar from these people. You can't be an Aladdin and be a Disney adult. You know, if you're an Aladdin, you're probably out there on the LARPing field.
Now, coming in from the chat, the real Andrew Mackay writes, Disney adults and the price of a trip to Disney feels more like a privilege than a nerdy obsession. Spending 3 days out in the woods with other nerds dressed up as Lord of the Rings characters, sleeping in a tent, drinking homemade mead is a million times nerdier. This is true, but going to Disneyland does not make you a Disney adult.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
If I may? Mm-hmm. So out of let's take for a moment, I know it's not about the casual enjoyers of these subsets, but take a casual enjoyer of Disney and take a casual LARPer, as you call it. Which one of those two is the nerdier one?
They're both absolute losers. If you're a grown-up watching Disney movies, you should get a life.
I was watching a Disney movie just before this.
I'm going to qualify this if you don't have kids. If you don't have kids. A grown-up going, you know what? I really want to turn on Beauty and the Beast. Why?
Wow.
Why? You're trying to recapture your childhood?
I'm trying to enjoy a beautifully hand-drawn film with incredible, the incredible songwriting of Howard Ashman, who was taken far away from us so early.
Calm down, cinephile.
I got asked once to go on a first date LARPing.
That's awful.
And I didn't show that much interest, and they did persist.
And now that man's your husband.
Look, I think LARPing is very nerdy, but we're trying to, this is the final, so we're trying to distinguish which one makes one worse than the other.
James is upset right now because of the categories.
I'm upset right now.
Everyone's a little bit mad.
And James is trying to make me upset.
No. In this entire tournament, I've argued for and against everything. They're all terrible. All of them. They're all awful.
Disney has been around for 100 years, and it has had that long to get cool.
Yeah, but we're also not talking about the cool parts of these things.
What I'm saying, it never ever made it to be cool. Being a Disney adult has had a lot of time to be normalized, and it never did.
Yeah, that's true.
You want to?
It's true. Dave, let's go to you.
Whew, I'm gonna vote now.
No, we're still talking about it because we have to give each other room to be swayed. I don't even know who I'm voting for yet. To me, it's 50-50 either one.
I'm not sure who I'm voting for yet either, James.
I can't believe it. I am shocked.
Marlaena, I gotta say, I take your point, and I also brought this up, which is that the average consumer of these mediums is different. But again, as James said, though, it's not about the averages; it's about the extremes.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
And we're not talking volume. Volume is not. That's not a deciding factor.
I know that it's like if you want to get your hair done at the Disney Princess Boutique, it's like hundreds of dollars to
there are some probably grown women that are like, this is my dream. I want to be a princess.
Yeah, I look like Elsa now,
And they're not even playing make-believe. They just want to walk around feeling like one. This is tough because LARPers probably have a lot of really terrible facial hair.
Disney adults, they're also not traditional nerds,
Yeah.
You're not getting a sort of comic book guy from The Simpsons going to Disney World dressed as
No.
But I bet you those do exist. Yeah. Dave, why don't you do a Google image search for Disney adults?
Okay, I'll check it.
Let's give that a try. Let's see where things are going here.
I read a story about a woman who didn't feed her wedding guests because she needed to pay Minnie and Mickey Mouse at her wedding.
Yeah. Pretty rough. That's pretty rough. And imagine how all the guests felt. They were probably like, God, what a nerd. We have to disassociate from this woman now. I want to hear some more people from the chat chime in. If you feel like you've got an axe to grind, let's hear it. But I think we're probably on the verge of voting. Dave, do we have any images that are interesting?
Let me pull up a couple, okay? I'll do a range.
Yeah, let's see a range. So these are the faces of Disney adults.
But I need to download them and then
we don't need to look at LARPers. We know what they look like.
It's gonna take me a second. You guys can keep talking for a second.
I don't know what I could possibly say. I'm at the end of my rope. I'm so deeply upset. I just.
What do you think you're upset about? Because no one's made a vote yet. We're basically arguing both sides.
To me, there's like in my mind, there's like no like discussion or argument, and the fact that it's like that.
But there has to be though in order to have fair voting.
I guess I don't know. I just feel
we can't just vote. We have to have a fair discussion. We have to give Disney adults as well as LARPers a chance. Cathy, what's your vote going to hinge on here? Because it seems like, look, I still don't know yet, but eventually I'm going to vote.
Who do you think needs more therapy?
Yeah, I think it truly could be either or. I think you could say that about any of the seeds in the brackets.
Yeah, but that doesn't fall.
And if we're talking about therapy, I'm telling you, Bronies looks pretty good right now.
It's interesting because that's not physical appearance, mental health and well-being, nothing to do with what I.
Well, hold on, but that's Cathy's criteria, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking like so out of touch with their hobby that they need therapy is what I should say.
Yeah. Now, coming in from the chat, BroDog1991. This is the first person in the chat, really, who's voted. LARPers are more nerdy than Disney adults, but Weebs and Bronies are far nerdier than both.
BroDog is out of touch.
BroDog1991 has officially won, and I have not given one of these out in a long time, the James Kiss of the night. Now, Dave, do we have any imagery here?
Here, I have a Disney wedding that's on the screen right now.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Disney wedding. Now, here's the thing. They're both pretty decent-looking people. If you were to throw LARPers in there, I don't know.
You picked one wedding photo.
Well, what do you want me to do? I'll pick another one. Here, hold on.
And they don't have to be wedding photos either.
Well, this one's another wedding one. I wasn't getting good results with.
Okay, all right. So you had to qualify it.
I had to qualify it.
All right, we're getting another image in a matter of moments, courtesy of Dave, who is in the control center tonight. He is tonight's technical director. Wow.
So this is a bridal party where each
they're all dressed up as the various Disney characters.
So you got Snow White, you got Cinderella.
Yeah, but they're
you got Belle,
which means people are dating someone, which probably means they're going to bed with someone.
Rapunzel.
Have you ever heard of Always a Bridesmaid?
Yeah, James.
Good point.
You heard of that shit?
Real Andrew Mackay writes, wait, are we judging who the ugliest nerds are? Like, who looks the nerdiest? LARPers 1,000%.
Like, obviously these women are going to be hotter than a group of LARPers.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, yeah. Women dressed up as princesses. But I'm not even thinking about the people that are, like, having the weddings for the most part. I'm thinking about the ones that, like, you walk into their home and there's, like, a picture of whatever. Donald Duck in their bathroom or something. Look, I think we've made all the arguments that we're going to be able to make. Marlaena, let's start with you. Your vote clearly goes to
LARPers. From the very beginning, they were my number one, who I wanted to take the whole thing home.
Cathy, let's go to you. It's time to vote LARPers or Disney adults.
Honestly, I am like cut down the middle, but I think my answer is Disney adults.
What the fuck?
Wow. This is getting good. Dave,
I'll
go to you.
It's tough.
It's really tough, and I don't want you to vote based on panic because of that. Bronies would have been in the finals.
Yeah, take your time.
On the one hand, you got people pretending to be, swordsmen and such, and they're pretending to fight, not even real fighting. On the other hand, you got people pretending to be Disney swordsmen. I'm gonna have to go.
You're not rushed. Don't panic.
I was looking at these.
Give us another on one hand.
On the one hand, some of these LARPers are probably in pretty good shape. They're doing exercise.
Oh
yeah.
God.
They spend time outdoors.
They're outdoors. They're touching grass and grabbing ass.
No, they're not grabbing.
On the other hand, you got, I looked at some of these pictures. These ladies aren't bad looking at all.
Yep.
These Disney ladies. James, I'm gonna have to go with LARPers.
No, God.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Tell me you panicked.
I'm the calmest I've ever been.
So it's all come down to me. I either send LARPers to the winner's circle or I send this to a tie. Cathy, why should I vote for Disney Adults?
Because they're just way out of touch. They're naive. Their identity's way... Yeah, like, whatever the comment was earlier, like...
I believe I said the LARPers leave it on the field. Disney Adults bring it home.
Yes. Lamer. It's lamer. Disney Adults are lamer than LARPers.
Marlaena, why should I vote for LARPers?
James, think about all of these subsets that you absolutely just loathe and despise. Every single one of them can essentially be acted out in some sort of fake world in some way, with countless sleepless nights of, sewing. No, sweetie, sorry, daddy is too busy in the basement making his armor to go out into the field this weekend. It's this LARPing is this umbrella on which so many of everything that you absolutely loathe falls under, and up to the nth degree where people can act it out and play make-believe.
Okay, and Dave, what swayed you to LARPers?
These Disney ladies. Not bad.
Now, coming in from the chat, the real Andrew Mackay writes, LARPers spend hours and hours on building costumes, weapons, characters. It's not even close. How Disney Adults even got to the finals is shocking. I agree. On one hand, we can end it now. On the other hand, I can leave it to the chat. And that's interesting. We give power to the people. On another hand, I could just vote for Bronies.
Wouldn't that mean that LARPers win?
Yep. It's tough. I was the one who made the argument about how LARPers, they leave it at home. And I do love the concept of LARPers getting exercise. I really do like it.
It's a flawless argument, James.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe the most flawless one we've heard.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Disney Adults don't leave it at home. I don't like how cute they act, and I do think that is very gross. When I think Disney Adults, I think more of those people. I think the ones who are like, they do it for the same reasons we talked about Bronies, irony, eliminated in the semifinals. But when it comes to, now that I've heard everything, Disney Adults and LARPers in the finals, and I'm qualifying this by saying I don't think either of them should be in the finals. I'm going to have to go with LARPers.
Oh.
Wow. I wish I had an audio clip to play right now, but I don't.
Sing something.
Amazing Grace.
Yeah, the closing arguments really did well. When we got to the finals, in my brain, I was like, yeah, LARPers are worse. But then the more we talked about Disney Adults, yeah, and I will say looks did sway me.
Yeah. I've updated the graphic, James.
That is the biggest pile of horseshit.
Winner LARPers. It's look, I think the most incredible thing about this is that no one's happy.
And isn't that the sign of a competition well had?
I'm happy. The winner that I predicted and wanted to win for the entire time won.
Cathy, if you could just pluck one of the 16, say no, I think even though they were eliminated, which was your number one, would you say?
Looking back on it, you know what? Like from the beginning, I really thought Bronies was gonna be it.
Yeah, I think we all did. I think we all did.
And even though I chose Disney Adults, I feel like LARPers in some ways did deserve to come out on top. And it is the classic. Like if I think anybody looked at this, they might feel like it would be Weebs or LARPers.
An incredible comment coming in from the chat. Again, the real Andrew Mackay. He should have just been on this show. Quote, Disney Adults had an easier bracket. Computer nerds, then pro wrestling. Easy bracket. Brodog91, Brony's fatal flaw was that it was, quote, too obvious, so it became a boring choice. I don't disagree with that. Coming into this tonight, I told someone, I think in the end, Weebs will take it because I didn't expect Bronies. I think to me, Bronies or Weebs was, they were the clear choices. Dave, immediate reaction now that the month is done.
You know, going into the month, I was worried that you were going to be a bit mean to one of these subsets of nerds.
Yeah, in the end, I think almost everyone's been mean.
Yeah, and I think in the end, we can all celebrate the fact that we've all been a little mean to these people.
Yeah, true.
I haven't been mean at all.
Oh, that's not true.
Name them. Name the time.
Well, you've made fun of LARPers this entire month.
Plus some of that stuff you said off air.
Yeah, true. And at one point you tried to say that Cathy's criteria isn't right, even though everyone's criteria is unique to their own voting power.
All right, I'm mean.
And as Dave mentioned, I guess we were all a little mean. So this, wow, it's, I said at the top of the show that there's going to be tingles and goosebumps and maybe even a hard-on. Dave, you said it's not easy, but how are you feeling currently in between the legs?
Well, let me check. Still not hard, James.
Yeah, I couldn't be any more flaccid the way things have turned out tonight.
Can I ask a question for you
all?
You had to pick up being a Disney adult or a LARPer as your hobby. You have to pick one. What would you subscribe yourself to?
It's an easy answer. It's LARPing.
I think I would also choose LARPing.
I would go, it's an outdoor activity. Get some exercise.
I think I'd probably be a Disney adult, and I'll tell you why. Because there's enough live-action Disney movies that I wouldn't feel like a jerk. Go back and watch Heavyweight, the movie about the kids who get sent to fat camp.
Ben Stiller.
Yeah. And Jerry Stiller.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yep. Jerry Garcia. Well, I guess this is it. We have concluded March Madness. Nerd subsets. 15 have been sent into the garbage can. LARPers stand tall on the mountain, celebrating their victory, drinking, as the real Andrew Mackay put it, homemade mead. And now, a week from tonight, we go back to our regularly scheduled programming. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't even know what's going to happen to this show. Isn't that right, Dave?
That's right. Anything could happen on this show or to this show.
Yeah. Maybe the show should change a little bit now.
Yeah, we should call it something else.
Yeah, I have a change for the show.
What is it?
Dave, you should get a ring light, sweetheart. We want to see that nice face.
Not gonna